So to the start at Glasgow's George Square, and first away Vatanen in the Mark II MCD Escort. At number 2, Mikkola's Quattro.
Top 10 in the Armour Class Scottish Rally. He's certainly going to be work cut out. In opposition. I think obviously Hannu.
Behind him, but not planning to stay there for long, Jim McRae.
To beat that car. Well, all the best, and we're looking for the first Scottish victory since Andrew Cowan in 1963.
And the rally got off to a dramatic start. On the first bend of the first stage at Strathclyde Park, Vatanen misjudged the bend, but he made a quick recovery. More serious problems though for Mikkola. On the same bend he suffered steering failure, a repeat of the problem which put him out of the World Championship Acropolis Rally in Greece the week before. Marshals tried to get him on his way again, then co-driver Arnie Hertz got out to see the trouble for himself. Already a minute was up and the next car was on its way through. It was Jim McRae, and co-driver Ian Grindrod looked round to see what was wrong with their rivals. Blomqvist arrived in the Talbot Sunbeam Lotus, and that was another minute gone. So Mikkola did the only thing possible. He completed the course in reverse. In the other Opel, Toivonen recorded third fastest time on the stage, while Russell Brooks lifted a wheel to finish 6th. Cumbrian Malcolm Wilson was on his first event of 1982, and cutting corners to the Scottish Championship, Ken Wood. Irishman Bertie Fisher in his distinctive Escort, and Ivor Clark was already pushing his Sunbeam Lotus to equal 4th. Wilson Gervin hadn't quite warmed up to his Chevette, but already throwing his Sunbeam Talbot about, Ronnie McCartney. Local man Bruce Lyle was going well, but about to spin after the flying finish. But the peace and quiet was shattered by the arrival of Vatanen. He'd dropped down the field after the first stage and was anxious to make up lost time. McRae had taken the lead, 4 seconds ahead, and he wanted to hold on to it. But Blomqvist was 7 seconds faster through Cardrona Forest and moved into first place. Per Eklund's Toyota was in full cry and finished the stage 5th. And 5 seconds behind him, Russell Brooks. Malcolm Wilson finished Cardrona with a rear puncture but held on to his position. Meanwhile, Mikkola's early disaster had fired his determination. He was at the bottom of the field but recorded fastest time on the stage. Ken Wood had trouble with oil on his rear brakes, but Ivor Clark was moving well up the field. Wilson Gervin had already had to repair a damaged alternator in his Chevette, and Dougie Reich had been having problems too. Bruce Lyle had recovered from his spin on the first stage, but still had one good headlamp. The world champion set a flying pace and finished the 5th stage at Craik 6 seconds faster than McRae. But he held on too and was still 3 seconds ahead of Blomqvist. Mikkola covered the 8.5-mile stage at an average of more than 60 miles an hour, a full 10 seconds faster than Vatanen. Terry Cavy's Chevette had already inspected the roadside undergrowth at close quarters, while Ken Wood finished the stage without brakes after a rear disc shattered. Bertie Fisher's Escort had oil pressure problems, but Ivor Clark had now moved up to lie 10th overall. Ian Wilson's Avenger kept up with the leaders, while Wilson Gervin and co-driver Bob Wilson were hampered by oil fumes into the car. On to Carrochtry in southwest Scotland, and Vatanen kept his lead as night fell, but there had been some early casualties. Ivor Clark retired his Sunbeam Lotus after blowing a cylinder head gasket on the 11-mile-long Twigley's stage, and many others had minor problems which did nothing to make the event any easier. In a blaze of light, Mikkola arrived, and it wasn't just his lights. Marshals reported his brakes were glowing too. Behind him, Eklund, who dropped to 8th. By the morning, discussion centred on tyres for the day ahead round the forests of Perthshire and the racing circuit at Knockhill in Fife. Some drivers, though, including Ken Wood, had some more serious problems on their minds.
Quite a few problems. Cardrona, first forest, no, year it was actually. Third forest stage, one of the rear discs sheared away from the bell and created a bit of a problem with that, so it took some time there to get that fixed. Then the gear lever came away in our hand in Twigley's. Didn't lose as much time there because I still had a wee stub left, about a couple of inches, and I was managing a sort of blister in the palm of my hand with changing gear. And the biggest problem I had was in Carrochtry when the fan went through the radiator and we lost all the water. But we didn't lose any time. In fact, we had a good stage time on Carrochtry, something like 2:52 or something. Yeah. But unfortunately, we didn't have a spare radiator, so I had to start and solder up all the wee holes, you know.
Glorious sunshine greeted the crews as they arrived at De Villa in Fife, Vatanen still in the lead. McRae had slipped down again to 3rd behind Blomqvist. While McRae's teammate Toivonen had moved up to 4th. And Russell Brooks followed. On to Knockhill and some spectacular Sunday morning driving.
Show.